Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to bug you today with a leaf removal video. I think I've done enough of that over the past week or so. But I do want to make a video, and I don't have time to make a video like a talking head video, and this is work that has to be done right now at this house. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. And while I'm removing these leaves, I'm going to talk to you guys a little about the LUMIX S1 Mark II as we go along here. As of right now, my 30-day return window is closing this week on the old LUMIX S1 Mark II. And I'm still making up my mind whether I want to send it back or not. And it's been a difficult decision for me for whatever reason. And it's been a hard one to make. And I really still haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do quite yet. So I kind of thought it'd be kind of interesting, maybe help some of you guys that are considering this camera, just kind of run down some of the differences between the LUMIX S1 Mark II and maybe some Sony camera that you may be considering. And hopefully make up, by the end of this video, make up my mind what I'm going to do, which probably is not going to happen, but you never know. So the main big differences between, or the main big features, in my estimation, I mean, there's a lot of features, but the main features of the LUMIX S1 Mark II is open gate up to 60 frames per second, and being able to shoot in, you know, ProRes HQ, ProRes RAW, all those type of codecs. Now there's a lot of other things that, so that's part of the reason, that's part of the difference between Sony and the LUMIX system. It's, you know, the major thing. Another thing is the LUMIX Lab app. That's another major thing. I wouldn't say it's a, you know, like, going to sway my decision one way or the other, but it is nice. You can make your own LUTs, import your LUTs into the camera. You can do that with Sony, but there's a little bit more freedom with the LUMIX system. So there's that. But the main thing between the two is going to be the recording, or the codec that all the different codecs that are offered in the LUMIX that aren't offered in Sony. You know, we can start off with open gate. And I'm not going to lie to you. It seems like the internet is divided on OpenGate. Like, some people will tell you that it's a feature that they just cannot live without going forward in a new camera. And there's a bunch of people out there that say it's the most overrated camera feature ever. They say it's the most overrated camera feature. You know, that it's just all marketing and so on and so forth. I kind of live somewhere in between, you know, between the two theories. I can see where it would be useful for a whole bunch of content creators and people doing, you know, paid professional work and things of that nature. But, so I do see the value of it. I do see the importance, why it would be important to a wide variety of people. But for me personally, it's just not that big of a selling point. Like I find myself not using it just a whole lot, or if I use it, I'm just mad that I did use it, because now I'm having to reframe every shot I do, every clip I do, you know, so it winds up costing me time in post and stuff like that. It's just not something that I just have to have, you know. I've decided that. So open gate for me is just not a huge thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to take it off the custom settings on this camera if I wind up keeping it, just shooting in 6K and 4K 16:9. But if I ever need it, at least I know it's there. It was awesome. It's awesome to have. I'm not saying it's not awesome to have. It's just not a deciding factor for me as to whether to buy a camera or not. And then the ProRes RAW, all those different codecs. Dude, I love shooting in ProRes RAW, and I love the footage coming out of that. I like messing with it. It's fun. I think it looks awesome. All that. The workflow is absolutely crazy, enormous file sizes. I can't just have like a terabyte of information of footage for doing a stupid video like this. But that's what it would wind up being if I was to use ProRes RAW. And that's just a product, if that's just the way it is. It's nothing good or bad. It's just the way it is, and that's what I expected. But ProRes RAW, not a selling point for me, because the file sizes are too big. And when I mean too big, I mean freaking massive. I think it's important to talk about autofocus, because you hear a lot about autofocus. You know, coming from Sony, that's the #1 selling point is autofocus, and it should be, because it's really, really good. But people like to say that, oh, Lumix is caught up with the Sony autofocus and all this and that. Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. To me, it's not even really very close. I mean, Sony's autofocus just seems to be better in pretty much every way than Lumix. And if anybody's telling you any different, you should do some investigation into that for yourself. I've used both systems. I've used Sony forever. I've used Lumix for a good amount of time. Maybe I'm just not investigating all the different settings enough in the Lumix camera, because every time somebody questions anything about the Lumix autofocus system, like, oh, you need to change the setting. You need to change the setting to this. You need to change the setting to that. So on and so forth. They might be true. I've adjusted the settings a little bit. I found it made a little bit of difference. But again, should you have to adjust your settings all the time for every scenario, based on whatever conditions you're in or whatever, just for the autofocus system to work, you know, the best it can? I don't know. That's kind of up to you. To me, Sony just works better. I don't have to go in and make a lot of changes to the settings. So Sony has, you can just start the tracking with one button. It's just, to me, it's just a lot better. So that's autofocus. Sony's better, just my opinion. If you don't believe me, do your own research. It's okay. Even if you disagree with me, it's fine. I don't care. That's just from my own experience. Made me question, really, if I want to keep this camera or not. And this is the major thing, is the lenses. And you hear a lot about lens selection and Sony's lineup of lenses and how it's way better than Panasonic and blah, blah, blah. And all that might be true. I don't know. It seems like when I go to look at Panasonic that there's plenty of lenses available to do whatever kind of job you might want to do with it. So, oh shoot. I'm not saying that the lens lineup from Panasonic or Lumix is bad. that's not what I'm trying to say here. Obviously not as good as Sony, but whatever. Who needs that many lenses? My biggest drawback is not the lenses out there for the system, but the lenses that I already have. And what I mean by that is, you know, I'm sitting there thinking whether I want to keep the system or not. And I start looking at lenses, and I'm kind of looking around, and I'm kind of noticing that I'm looking at lenses that I already bought for the Sony system. And why would I want to buy two of the exact same lenses, one for each system? Take like a 24-70, for example. Like, you know, I'm sitting there looking at that lens for L mount. I already have two Sony E mount lenses, 24-70s, you know, equivalent or thereabouts. Like, what am I doing here? You know, I'm basically buying the same lenses for a different system for really no reason other than I just want to, you know, start using Panasonic more. And it's like double money, which is absolutely insane. Up until now, I've been running around with the 20-60 kit lens, which is a fine lens. I mean, it does a great job for what it is, but you have to have something a little bit better to fully test out a system, in my opinion. You know, like unless you get a decent lens and really test it out, did you even really test out a system running around with a kit lens? I don't know. That's just something else to keep into consideration. But you might be sitting there listening to this point in the video thinking to yourself, well then, what in the world if he really doesn't use any of the advanced video features or really any of the monitoring features that are available in the Panasonic or the LUMIX? I keep calling it Panasonic, sorry. If I'm not going to use any of those, and I'm not going to use any of the codecs, you know, they really don't make any difference to me, then why would this even be a question? Why aren't you just sending it back? Well, there's a couple of good reasons for that. And the number one reason is the camera I found is fun to use. And it might be just because I'm in the honeymoon phase still. I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I like to mess with cameras, so that's part of it. Because I really like the photography aspects of it. Not so much that it can do any more than any other camera can, but just it's the colors that are coming out of it, you know, straight out of camera. Like I don't feel like I have to edit a lot. Straight out, you know, I can just do straight out of camera, and they look good. And you can modify them. You can download them straight into your phone, no problem. It's just a whole lot easier solution. And the photography aspects are really compelling to me for those simple reasons. Sony is a freaking powerhouse photo machine taker. You can go out there 30 frames per second, get 99% of your shots in front and focus. You know, boom, you can go straight into APS-C mode if you need more reach. I mean, everything, all that. The JPEGs are kind of boring though. We can just talk about the two companies in general as a whole. Which you may think, what? Panasonic, LUMIX, whatever, they tend to support their cameras forever, which may not seem like a huge deal, but coming from Sony, it is a pretty big deal. You invest a lot into a camera, and you expect it to be, you know, refresh from time to time, new features added when available, things like that. Sony, no, not so much. They're getting better, I will say, but for the most part, they want you to buy a whole new camera. Panasonic, or LUMIX, maybe 3-4 years down the line, and they drop a firmware update, totally changes the way you do it. Makes the camera 1,000 times better. And one more thing to mention, I was just fixing to walk out of my barn and remembered this point about the LUMIX S1 Mark II, and something I really enjoy about it. It's massive compared to the Sony cameras, like ergonomics and everything, the grip, everything about the camera is just way bigger. And you know, there's something to be said about a smaller, powerful camera like the A1 II. I mean, it is small for what it does. It's like crazy. But there's also something that I quite enjoy about having a much larger camera. Whether that relate to using it more or not, I don't know, because generally I like taking smaller cameras with me. But just having that extra big grip and just the better ergonomics overall is something I really enjoyed. So anyway, that's just been kind of what's been kicking around in my head as I had to decide this week whether to keep this camera or not. You know, I've gone back and forth about 1,000,000 times, and I just cannot decide exactly what I want to do. On one hand, I want to keep it because it's awesome to use. It's fun to use. I enjoy using different cameras. However, I do run the risk of keeping it, buying a whole, you know, maybe 2 or 3 new lenses for it, using it for another month or so, and just kind of like, it's okay, putting it up on a shelf, never really touch it again until I decide to sell it. And at that point, I'll take a bath on the camera and the lenses all at once, and I just potentially lose just a whole bunch of money on it. So that's kind of where I'm stuck on it right now. I just cannot decide what I want to do. But then again, I might just want to keep it, continue to test it out with some better lenses, and see how it goes. Let me know down in the comments what you would do, what you think, LUMIX or Sony. It's a tough decision. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like. If you want to see what I do, ultimately, keep watching, I'll let you know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.